Welcome to Eye to Eye for May 19th. The military has been using drones for decades, but a new bill in Wisconsin targets those who might use drones to, for example, spy on a neighbor. The sponsors of the legislation will join us in a moment, but first, Milwaukee's Hmong community making the grade. Our guests are Chris Herjong, founder, executive director, and principal of the Hmong American Peace Academy, and Don Cohen, treasurer of the school's board of directors. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Hmong American Peace Academy, 84th in Hampton. Really, there's no school quite like it in the entire state, is there, Chris?
That is correct. Hmong American Peace Academy is the first Hmong charter school in Wisconsin and the second in the nation, so we are very proud of that. We started in 2000 with the planning and opened in 2004 with about 200 students, and now in 2013 we have nearly 1,000 students, growing strong and with a high demand for more seats available for our students. So we are growing, and in fact we have 300 students in the early childhood program, K4 through first grade, as we have 200 students in our high school. So we're very excited, and next year will be our 10th anniversary, and so with the possibility of opening to about 1,200 students and growing strong. So we're a K-12 school.
Yeah, quite the success, Don. What do you attribute to the growth and success?
Chris.
There you go.
Every time she opens her mouth, like we were talking before, we had a projection of getting to 1,000 kids in about another 5 years. We kind of went much quicker than we ever dreamed would happen, but it's such a success story, and the kids are phenomenal. Like I was saying, we never had a suspension. We got K through 12. You walk into school and it's just quiet. You can't believe that you're in a school with 1,000 kids in it.
You've never had a suspension?
Never.
Oh my, it's in the former Morse Middle School.
Correct.
Not your typical Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. school, is it?
That is not. We have an extended school day, so in a given day we have about almost 7.5 to 8 hours of schooling, and we have Saturday Academy where the students come and do extra curriculum activity as well as enrichment, and then tutoring. So in a nutshell, we have about 10 extra instructional days compared to the regular MPS school days.
Don, you're a VP over at Landmark Credit Union. Really, education is the key to
Absolutely.
Economic success, to self-sufficiency, no doubt about it.
We see so many hardships of people that have gotten into traps with different payday lending and that type of thing, and to get these kids educated on not just normal education, but on money issues and things that we're pushing all the time, so that they can come out and not have those problems. It's a phenomenal thing to watch the kids and then the parents getting involved in all these different events, and when we have an event there, it's just packed. Every parent is there for the kids, and it's just it really is a different situation. It's something I've never seen before, and I've been involved with different schools over the years, and I've never seen one like this.
Parental involvement, Don was talking about, Chris, really so important, and we're not talking about parents who are privileged Hmong Americans. A lot of them are struggling to meet the basic needs.
Well, the statistics is that 87% of our students are free and reduced lunch. Our parents, 98% of our students speak another language other than English at home, and many of our parents do not speak English. But language is not a problem, it's the heart. They want their children to be successful in education. And we all know that education is the key to pulling our students and their families out of poverty. And so the heart and soul of our school is to give our students the tools to be successful in life, whether it be in college or in career, but that they will take those tools and be productive citizens. Not only productive citizens, but positive contributors of society and not takers of society. And so that contributes with the idea that education is the key to sustaining themselves, but more importantly to help the community and contribute to the greater Milwaukee and beyond.
Do you ever have to turn away students who want to go to the Hmong American Peace Academy, Don?
Yes. Chris?
We have a huge waiting list. For example, right now we're taking enrollment for our K-4. We only have 100 seats, but we now have 135 students applying to be enrolled in our K-4 program. So yes, we have a huge demand for the enrollment of our students, and we have to turn away because there's only so many seats per year that we could take within the our partnership with the Milwaukee Public Schools.
Tell us about the staff, Don, the teachers who are responsible for teaching the young kids life skills.
It's not just the teaching. I mean, it's everything else. When we moved into that school, we had about 2 weeks to get ready for the new year, the school year to start. We had teachers, the kids, the parents, all there cleaning and helping and really getting things up and running. It was really kind of a chaos, but it started the first day.
I
the
believe
teachers are
that
really caring about the kids.
I believe that the key to the success of our school is that we hire people who has a passion for a cause and not a need for a job. They're here to serve, and when we serve our children, we capture their hearts. We truly capture the learning. We educate them from the inside out and the whole person. We focus on the mind, the body, and the spirit, and that we can truly educate them to be not just to read and write and do math, but that they grow up to be young men and young women of character.
Yeah, very successful approach. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, among refugees' success story. You're watching Eye to Eye. Welcome back. We're talking about the growth and success of the Hmong American Peace Academy in Milwaukee with its founder, Chris Herjong, and board member Don Cohen. Chris, tell us about your journey from Laos to the United States that began in the mid-70s.
At a young age, I remember in our house, there was a loudspeaker in our community announcing from the communist government saying, let's wipe out all the Hmong people, wipe out all the Hmong people. And so the reason for that is that the Hmong helped the United States during the Vietnam War. And so one night my father called a family meeting and told my mom that he was going to leave with his 3 sons and leave my 2 sisters and I along with my mom behind. But my mother was very determined, and so the family then escaped from Laos to Thailand, and in Thailand we lived in refugee camps for over a period of time. And I remember being hungry and cold with no food. And so from there, my father applied to come to the United States, and we were then sponsored by a Dutch Reformed church in Iowa. And from there, we came to the United States in December of 1976. It was the first time that my family and I saw snow for the first time. And so from there, my sister and I learned how to speak English, but when at the age of 11, I came to the United States not knowing how to speak English, how to read or write, and I've never gone to school. And so I quickly learned English, and then my sister and I became parents to our parents because then we could speak English. And so from there, I had graduated from high school, went to college, and then an opportunity came to Milwaukee. And so as the first Hmong teacher hired by the Milwaukee Public Schools, I came to Milwaukee to serve the community here in 1990.
Yeah, and then founded the Hmong American Peace Academy and have accomplished so much since then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is without any, I believe that it is through a lot of hard work that the Hmong people are moving toward a success story of making sure that their children have a good education. But more importantly, the Hmong people came to Milwaukee because of education and because of the opportunity to work in the factories. And so in 1980, the Hmong people relocated to Milwaukee for the main reason of giving their children the opportunity to receive the best education in the nation.
Don, Wisconsin has one of the largest Hmong populations in the entire country.
That's correct. There's 3 areas of large population: California, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And Milwaukee is quite heavy in the Fox Valley areas as well.
As a VP with Landmark Credit Union, you do a lot with a lot of community organizations. Why did you get involved with Hmong American Peace Academy?
Well, I got involved because of somebody that was on the board before, and I had done some other things with him. He said, "Can you come and look at the school?" And the minute I walked in the school, I just fell in love with it. It just was such a different. And there was only 250 kids, I think, at the time, and literally working out of closets in a small church in 27th and Greenfield. So we moved up 4 years ago. We moved into the new building, and we finally are now owners of the building. This year, we so just signed a contract a couple of months ago with MPS and the city to buy the building. So it's been quite a journey. It's been a fun journey.
Chris, Hmong Americans have made great strides in recent years, but certainly there are a number of challenges that lie ahead.
You know, the challenges continue to be reading and writing. We do very well with our track record in the WKCE. Every year we have exceed NPS score. In mathematics, we have many times exceeded the state records, but the continued challenge happens to be reading and writing, and as you know, English is our second language. So 98% of our students are English language learners. So the challenge at this time is reading comprehension, writing the English language so that our students are proficient in advance. And so those are the challenges, but I assure you that determination and dedication and discipline in the academic area, it is so vital in our school because all of our students want to be successful, and so does our parents and the community.
And Don, the students at the Hmong American Peace Academy really are the future. And you know, what happens with them and what they learn certainly is going to determine the success of future generations here in the Milwaukee area and throughout the country.
And we have one that graduated last year that's working for us. One of the girls,
yes.
And is doing very well. So, yeah, we continue to look for people. We have a lot of people that do speak Hmong that are bilingual in our credit unions. So that helps us too, because the people need someone that can speak the language.
Don Cohen, Chris Urjong, Hmong American Peace Academy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Still ahead, should remote-controlled helicopters with cameras be regulated? We'll hear from the authors of a bill targeting drones when Eye to Eye returns. Welcome back. Our next topic has to do with privacy rights. We often associate drones with the military, but the increasing use of camera-mounted civilian drones has led to legislation that would clamp down on the use of these flying machines right here in Wisconsin. Republican State Representatives Tyler August and David Craig join us this morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Morning. Thanks for having us.
Representative August, you're the main sponsor of this legislation. Why do we need a law that would limit drones in the state?
Sure. Well, I think it really boils down to we need to make sure as technology advances that our privacy statutes advance along with them. There was a time in the state when we didn't have rules for when you could get a phone tap. That's because we didn't have phones. So we don't have rules on the books with drones because drones are still relatively new technology, especially in the private market.
Representative Craig, there's been a lot discussed in Madison over the past few weeks. A lot of it has sort of been gone down along party lines. Is there bipartisan support for something like this?
Yeah, it's one of the interesting things about this issue is you really have polar ends of the political spectrum. Very conservative members of the legislature joining forces with very liberal members of the legislature. Representative Chris Taylor from Madison, Representative Fred Kessler from Milwaukee right here. And we found common ground where we share principles on privacy rights and making sure that individuals' privacy rights are protected, making sure that we have things like warrant procedures in place for law enforcement use of things like this. So it's a very interesting policy area because we're not sacrificing our principles. We actually have sharing principles with people, on the other side of the aisle and the other side of the ideological spectrum.
So you mentioned warrant procedures. Does this extend to law enforcement as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We're both Representative Craig and I, as well as Representatives Taylor and Kessler, are big fans of the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution, and we want to make sure that law enforcement is just going through the right channels, getting a judge to sign off on a warrant to use them, much like they have to do on search warrants. But we do build some exceptions into the bill for law enforcement, Amber Alerts, manhunts, escaped convicts, and other types of emergencies where we certainly don't want to impede their ability to respond rapidly. But we do want to make sure that we don't have drones flying around gathering evidence without without probable cause and signed off by a judge.
Has this kind of neighbor-on-neighbor spying been a problem in your district or around the state?
We've heard anecdotally from other states. I haven't heard of any major problems now, but what we're trying to get ahead of is the fact that this technology has very rapidly advanced, and with that rapid advancement in technology, the price of these devices has gone down substantially. When we were kids, you'd have to pay hundreds upon hundreds of dollars just to get a remote control helicopter. Now you can go to Amazon.com, buy a remote control helicopter with a camera on it, video camera, still shot camera, for about $40, and have it have it shipped right to your house, and you'll have this device. And under our legislation, a drone has to have both the unmanned remote control aerial vehicle description as well as a mounted camera on it, and that's what we define as drone in our state statutes under this bill, and that's what we're trying to prevent, is the rapid outspread of this type of activity unlawfully, and it is an intrusion to privacy.
Okay, violators, when it comes down to if the law eventually is passed and you've got people breaking the law, what kind of penalties could they face?
Sure, it'd be a Class A misdemeanor, which also gives the individual, the victim, when it is a Class A misdemeanor, it gives them a civil action in court as well. So it's really more about, we're not as focused on the penalties. There are penalties built into the bill, kind of as a deterrence, but we really want people to think about, is this something I should be doing? And also if law enforcement were to use one without a search warrant, it's clear under the bill that any evidence that they collect is then inadmissible in court under the bill.
So there are other states that actually have this law on the books, and what, other states looking at it, like Wisconsin?
Yeah, recently enacted, I think in about a dozen states, maybe a little bit less than that, but more and more states are kind of piling on. It's gained national attention because of issues, use of them domestically under Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky had a filibuster that lasted well into the evening hours, about a 13-hour filibuster, and that was dealing with armed drones domestically. And I think that's really what kind of set this issue onto the stage, but from a privacy perspective. As state officials, we're not trying to regulate the federal government or anything like that. We're worried about what we can do as a state, and that's regulating the use of these things for surveillance purposes, like we said, from a law enforcement perspective and from your neighbor's perspective.
So if you wanted to take one of these, Representative August, and go to your local park, that would still be okay? I mean, is this proposal sort of look at public, or I should say parks versus neighborhoods?
Sure. We built into the bill that it's not allowed, you're not allowed to record audio, video, or data of an individual when that individual has a reasonable expectation of privacy. So if you're in a public park, you really don't have that reasonable expectation of privacy. When you're in your own backyard, then you've got that reasonable expectation of privacy. So I think it's important to note too that we've been very careful in drafting legislation. We don't want to hurt our hobby model aircraft industries, associations, people that like to build radio-controlled flying things. That's fine, as long as they're not using them to observe an individual. We certainly don't want to impede people's ability to continue to participate in that activity.
It's bipartisan. Have you gotten any complaints from hobbyists, radio control groups saying, be careful what you pass here, guys? I
think there are some national associations that are out there that are concerned about drones and the impact that they're going to have to remote control devices, generally speaking. I don't think they've taken a hard look at any specific legislation. We were very specific in what we're delineating as a drone, like Representative August said. So, but from residents inside Wisconsin, I've heard nothing but support of this thus far. I think it's wildly popular. I think we have a number of co-sponsors on the bill from again, both sides of the aisle in both the Senate and the Assembly.
All right, we are going to take a short break, and when we continue, we'll wrap up our conversation about limiting drones in Wisconsin in just a minute. Welcome back. We're talking about a bill to limit drones in Wisconsin. Co-authors of the bill, Representatives Tyler August and David Craig, join us this morning. The bill is actually going to be formally introduced tomorrow. We've been trying to get some more co-sponsors in the past week or so.
Yeah, and it's gone pretty well. About 10 days ago, we had our press conference on the bill. and we've gotten a lot of good press and a lot of good comments, as Representative Craig said, from our constituents. So we'll be introducing it tomorrow, and I'm hoping to actually get it referred to the committee that I chair, and Representative Craig is the vice chair of the Committee on Government Operations and State Licensing, so that we can move it through the process. And we've got around 20 of our colleagues from the Assembly and around 10 or so from the Senate that have signed on and say, yeah, this is a good idea, let's move it forward. So we're optimistic about its chances.
Chances of becoming law yet this session, or next fall, or next year?
We're hoping this session. We've got about a year left on this session calendar here, so we've got some time to get this done, and we hope, and we're going to work to get it done the right way.
Yeah. Representative Craig, I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to weigh in on this, though. Hobbyists and remote-controlled fans and law enforcement. Will they have their chance?
Yeah, we'll have a very thorough legislative process on this. All bills, including this one, we're going to start off with a public hearing where we're getting input from hobbyists, from law enforcement officials, from just John Q. citizen coming in, talking to us about their concerns, what they see in the piece of legislation, from a privacy perspective that needs to get fixed, from a law enforcement perspective that needs to get fixed, and we're just going to have a very, very good conversation in that very thorough public hearing. From there, we would go to what we call an executive session, which is like a markup session, where we'd actually make the changes to the legislation. Once that is over, and that's generally several weeks process, we're hoping to get it to the floor of the Assembly for a vote, hopefully over and running concurrently over in the Senate, the same process, so we can get both of these, both versions, the Assembly version and the Senate version, on the floor, and then to the governor's desk eventually.
Very good. Representative David Craig and Representative Tyler August, thanks so much for joining us today on Eye to Eye.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for watching as well. You can check out previous episodes of Eye to Eye by going to the features section of CBS58.com. Thanks again for watching. We hope to see you again next Sunday morning.